Good afternoon. Welcome to the induction ceremony for the American Sign Language Honor Society Colonia High School chapter. My name is Ms. Hartlieb. I'm the American Sign Language Honor Society advisor. Welcome family, friends, Mr. Christopher Chiara, our principal, Mr. Salvatore Sergio, our department head, and guests. We're here to celebrate and honor students who have made an enthusiastic commitment to the study of ASL and deaf culture. Inaugurated in 2006, the American Sign Language Honor Society is an official program sponsored by the National American Sign Language Teachers Association, ASLTA, to encourage and recognize high academic achievement in ASL studies. The students to be honored here this afternoon are part of an elite group of students from across the United States and Canada. Out of hundreds of thousands of students learning ASL each year, these students here have persevered and maintained the highest grade point averages, having an overall grade point average of at least 3.0 in all academic areas, having a minimum 3.5 grade point average in all ASL and ASL-related coursework. Additionally, these students performed ASL-related community service and have pursued excellence. For these reasons, they are being inducted into the American Sign Language Honor Society. We're going to start our ceremony with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would like to introduce Nathaniel Alcantara.
We start ceremony with pledge. Oh.
We will begin the ceremony with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. My name is Mrs. Economos. I am the American Sign Language Honor Society co-advisor. I will now introduce our current American Sign Language Honor Society members. Please stand when I say your name and remain standing until all have been recognized. Our Honor Society President, Camilla Grande. Our Vice President, Nathaniel Alcantara. Our Secretary, Danielle McMillan. Our Community Outreach Chair, Aubrey Meredith. Our fundraising chair, Sandina Almeida. She's right there. Ashley Ayers. Sarah Chattarello. Grace Downs. Avery Evangelista. Luca Kovacis. Jacqueline Mazurowski. Gianna Manzella, Landon O'Rourke, Arabella Palmieri, Annika Pinto, Jillian Robson, Xanis Shah, and Jessica Selecki. All right, I will now introduce our American Sign Language Honor Society inductees. Please stand when I say your name and face me and remain standing until all have been recognized. Falak Ali, Asla Patel, Kenzie Reynolds, and Ima Sadeh. Please turn and face the audience. Please take your seats.
I would like to introduce Jay Hicks, our keynote speaker. Good afternoon. My name is Camilla Grande, and I am very honored to stand here as the president of our ASL Honor Society. Last year, I was sitting in those seats as well. I remember feeling excited to be inducted. I never imagined I would be up here as president. Growing up, Spanish was my first language. Learning English showed me how powerful communication truly is. Language is more than just words or signs. Language is access, identity, and community. Tonight, we will recognize students who have challenged themselves to learn a new language, which is not easy. You have all worked hard and should be so proud of yourselves. It is now my pleasure to welcome our guest speaker. We are so grateful to have him here. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Jay Hicks. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is exciting. I'm so happy to be joining you again for my second year. I came late last year to the induction as well. So I'm going to be signing. I just want to warn you, this hand, missing a finger. And I use this one to sign. Could be a little distraction. So I'm just warning you. Anyway, I've met so many people, and they've assumed I was born hearing. Why? Because I have pretty good speaking skills, but I was born deaf. I was born in the 1960s, and there was a rubella outbreak here in the United States, and many young mothers, my mother included, she was about 3 months pregnant, she got rubella. And I became deaf before I was even born. Growing up, I could hear nothing. I could see, but no hearing. And I was born to hearing parents. And typically, deaf children, 90% of deaf children are born all over the world to hearing parents. And what does that mean for them? No language. I didn't know English. I didn't know sign language. Nothing. I didn't learn English until I was 23 months old. And then I went to a deaf school. They found that I was deaf and put me in school. I had these old FM systems that would help me hear. And that's where I was able to learn new words and continue my education, but it was a very, very slow process because I started so late. So it took some time, and I had just some basic English. At that time, I was born in Florida, and I went to a school for the deaf in Tampa. This is the sign for Tampa, just to let you guys know. I went there for almost 2 years, and then my mom decided we were going to move here to New Jersey to get a better education than what Florida had. So my mom looked all over, and she found a school for the deaf near here. Nope, sorry. Kind of near here. It was in Millburn. That's the sign. So Millburn. And I went there. I continued speech therapy. No signing back then. Remember, the 60s, it was an oral method. Most schools were oral at the time. So there was no signing until I was 8.5 years old. And then my school switched, and we did signs English, not ASL, but signed exact English. So we would do exactly, I am going to the store. Every single word was signed. ASL, you know, we would just say store, go. Simple, 2 signs. Signed English is not that way. Every single word must be signed. But what's the purpose of signs English? It helps with written English, writing proper grammar. That was the school's strong belief. So I learned signed English. Plus speech. I was doing both while I was at school. It was a SimCom situation where I was signing and speaking at the same time. They had the belief that deaf students still needed to speak and do speech therapy as well as sign, so that's how we did school. I didn't learn how to code switch at that time. I just thought, we focused on one. We didn't focus on both. It was either speaking or signing. But together, oof, that was difficult. I really, really struggled. I graduated from there, 8th grade. I went to Governor Livingston High School for 1 year. That was a mainstream program. Back then, it was 1978. There was no interpreters. The ADA law hadn't been passed yet. So I would go to class, and I'd have a person taking notes for me. The rest of my classes, no note taker. And they expected me to be able to read lips. It was completely impossible. I would sit in the front with the teacher, try to read their lips. And sometimes the teachers didn't speak clearly. It was such a struggle for me. So after 1 year at Governor Livingston, I failed. My mom decided to put me in MMSD, Model Secondary School for the Deaf. So I transferred there. I was totally thrown off. They had ASL there. I just took it all in. It was difficult for me to understand the concepts of the ASL language. I did struggle. But it took me about 2 years to really gain those skills and really pick up the ASL. How did I develop my ASL skills? I was in 2 plays. It was really acting that helped me with it. And then I just started signing, and I would get the concepts, and I would understand. And I've been using ASL since I was about 17. So about 44 years now. And ASL has been my language since. When I finished and I graduated MSSD, I went to Gallaudet University. At that time, when I was about 17 years old, I wasn't mature enough and I didn't have enough responsibility So I failed out of Gallaudet. I got thrown out. So many people were shocked I was thrown out. They were like, you're so smart, how did you get thrown out of Gallaudet? The maturity and the responsibility, you need both of those to get through college. And at that time, I didn't have that. I just wanted to party and party. And I was going out with friends. Before I graduated MSSD, I was always following the curfew that they had there. You know, bed was at 10, get up at 6, you go to school. So I just followed that everyday routine. But when I got to Gallaudet, you know, it was my first year, I asked the RA, you know, for the dorm, do we have a curfew? And he said, no, I don't have a curfew. What? Are you serious? No curfew? I can go to bed at any time? I can get up at any time? Yes! I was so excited about that. But what happened? I wasn't mature enough. And I wasn't responsible enough. So, I failed out. So, then I was forced to work. I worked for AT&T for 19 years. Right before I was laid off from work, I started at Kane University. I wanted to get my bachelor's degree. I felt it was time. AT&T was downsizing and I was going to be laid off, so I started college. I went to Kane University. I went through, you know, schooling. I got laid off. And I continued my education. I got my bachelor's degree. And then I went back to school again at Kane as well. And I got my master's degree. And then I started teaching. And I started teaching ASL at colleges. I taught at 5 different colleges. Right now I'm at Colwell. I've taught at CCM, at William Patterson University, Princeton University,
Okay.
and Kane University.
No,
Right now it's 1, just at Caldwell, but I've taught, you know, altogether at 5, and I've been teaching for 9 years. So some advice for you, like, you know, all of you are learning ASL. It's important. The deaf community needs that collaboration and needs that bridge with the hearing community. We don't have it yet. Some people are the bridge, but still we're too separate. Deaf community is very, very, very small. 17? No, not 17. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out the numbers. So 34 million deaf and hard of hearing people. You know, that can include people implanted, later latent deafened people. So about 330 million people altogether in the world. So more than 10% are deaf people.
right there.
In the United States, sorry, not the world, it's the United States. So for every 10 hearing people, there's 1 deaf person. So there's so many hearing people and there's just this little amount of deaf. The community is small. I think it was like 2016, 2017. The deaf community tried to protest, you know, for full access to interpreters, to language. They wanted that support for the deaf community. You know, they felt it was not fair for deaf people to be treated differently than the hearing community. But the protest, there wasn't enough people. There wasn't enough support. It's like, we were like little fleas to the bigger picture. They could just dismiss us and kind of kick us out of the way. The hearing community is big. If we had more people to support us, if we had this big group of people to protest instead of this small, we would be taken more seriously, we would be recognized. So if we have that collaboration, if we have that support from the hearing community, it would be beneficial for us, but we would need the hearing community to understand what we need, that we need interpreters, we need language access. But we don't have the full support yet, and it's a struggle. That's why all of you that are learning ASL, our hope is that you, in the future, can join our fight and join the deaf community and learn from us and pave a way to make that collaboration possible. So I congratulate all of you, especially the 4 of you. What an honor, congratulations. And I hope that your future is bright. Thank you. Thank you. Please accept this gift today from Colonia High School's chapter for the American Sign Language Honor Society. Now our new inductees will sign the American Sign Language Honor Society Pledge.
Please remain standing so you can receive your American Sign Language Honor Society pins. I would like to also present Mrs. Danielle Economos, an American Sign Language Honor Society pin for stepping up as my American Sign Language Honor Society co-chair. Okay, I'm now going to pass out the candles. Candles have a long history in the Honor Society tradition.
Mr. Chiara, please come to the front lobby.
Candles have a long history in the Honor Society tradition. They symbolize learning and understanding and serve to illuminate the darkness of ignorance. Our guest speaker will initiate the candle lighting.
This candle represents the sharing of our beautiful language of signs and the strong culture from which it springs. As a deaf person, I am proud to welcome you and hope you continue to pass your love of ASL to others.
Our inductees are now members of the American Sign Language Honor Society, Colonia High School chapter. You can please turn your candles off and you can take your seats. We will now present you with your American Sign Language Honor Society certificates. Please remain standing and facing your families until all certificates have been received. The first is for Falak Ali. Asta Patel. Lindsay Reynolds. And Iman Sadeh. Pictures. Okay, you may take your seats.
Thank you for joining our American, okay, hold on. Can I back him up a little bit?
Yeah, I just saw that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for joining us at our American Sign Language Honor Society induction today. Again, thank you to Mr. Hicks for making today special. Thank you to our interpreter for joining us today. And please, everyone, enjoy some refreshments of cookies, cake, And go ahead and please take pictures.